Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your new favorite weekly women's basketball podcast, Ball Up Top, presented by No Cap Space. Tyler, Andrew, Shawnee here. This was finally the weekend we've been waiting for, y'all. Like, we have been waiting for, like, the real deal, real hoops. Like, we've had some, like, solid matchups here and there, some underrated matchups here and there, but, man, the big dogs came out to play in L.A., and I was so being there in person, the energy in both arenas was super dope for different reasons. Like USC, you had the stars popping out. Snoop Dogg was there. Michael B. Jordan was there. Cheryl Miller was there. Candace Parker was there. Like all from kind of wide ranging. And UCLA was just like a dope college atmosphere. Like Poly Pavilion was super dope. But folks, like it was fire. And these games were fire too. These games were fire. Hey, look, man, we had boots on the ground. The boots were on the ground, but y'all were. I didn't mean for this to come off as like.
Unfortunately.
No, I was just saying we had boots on the ground. Oh my god!
Meanwhile, I'm like off screen because my dog just threw up over here.
Oh. This is okay. Do we need to
amazing? No. This is no. This is great. This is the duality of the podcast.
This is
shouts to Mrs. No Cap Space.
This is great.
My dog got a little sick while Tyler is. I don't think my dog could stomach Tyler talking about his wealthy boots on the ground shit.
I'm not.
My dog is
right now.
You know what it was? Too much motion. Yes.
Oh, motion sickness. Motion sickness. Motion sickness. But anyways, y'all. In these games, both of the lower ranked teams, which preseason rankings are preseason rankings, and that's a whole nother topic of their existence and everything. But regardless, the two teams that were not favored going into these games won these games in dominant fashion. Like UCLA and Notre Dame both never trailed in either game. They literally led from start to finish in both games. So I think the place to start here for me is with so much shuffling going on, with South Carolina dropping from number one, their first loss is 2023 Final Four. They made some cases this weekend as to who should be the number one team in the nation. And both teams, especially UCLA, Notre Dame, made very strong cases. Andrew, we'll start with you. I'm just interested, and UConn's there too. They have, they're undefeated as well. Texas is undefeated. Like there's several teams now that have made their case. Andrew, for you right now, in this moment, number one team in the nation.
Oh, man, that's hard. Well, in the AP poll, we already know that UCLA got that coveted spot. Obviously, part of that is, I think, the dominance over the number one team that hadn't lost in over a year and a half, who hadn't lost a road game in like 3 years or something crazy like that. But at the same time, I don't know if you can hop them over UConn just yet. Look, UConn has a top 15 win on the schedule already in North Carolina. At the time we're recording this, it's a Monday night. They are just obliterating Oregon State, who, while not the same team they were last year, it's gonna bear itself out. They play next week. They play Louisville. They go on the road to Notre Dame. They have Iowa State and USC before we actually get into the conference schedule in the Big East. They are still my number one team. I know some of that's poll inertia, if you will, but you've got probably the top player in the country in Paige Beckers. You have Sarah Strong, who's averaging, mind you, 16 and 8. Like
she's been really, really solid.
Freshman. That this is not the same motion class that Juju and Hannah were. But Sarah Strong is making a very good freshman of the year case right out of the gate. And then they're just beating teams on every end. So UConn is still my one until proven otherwise. UCLA is great. Notre Dame's great. If I was making a top 25, I'd probably say that's 1, 2, 3. It's UConn, UCLA, Notre Dame, and I think that 3 can be interchangeable. But UConn right now, to me, they're doing everything they got to do, and the only reason they're not number one this week in the AP poll is because they don't have a top 5 team on the schedule just yet. That's the thought.
Shawnee. I'm
on video here.
I'm gonna guess that UConn is not your number one team.
Not yet. Okay, congratulations. You outdueled Lexi Donarski. Like, respectfully to Lexi Donarski, be for real here, bro.
Yo,
Hannah beat Juju.
Crazy straight.
Like, come on, dog. Like, Lauren Betts just beat the defending champions. Hannah Hidalgo just beat Juju. Like, and Utah, they just beat Fairleigh Dickerson. I don't care about, like, who. Come on now. Who's still at Oregon State, bro? It's Scott Ruck. Scott Ruck ain't even there. Like, they got, come on. I'm sorry. I get it. The great thing about all of this is nobody looks like they have a head start on anybody. So I'm really excited about how this season's going to play out, even though I have this like sinking feeling on how it's going to play out based on my team being tethered. But that can, Sean Sturgermis can come in later and we'll talk about that. But yeah, I don't think anybody looks. You obviously have to reshuffle the order because there were some big wins and some big losses. But it's still just like when you look at it, everybody looks kind of mid out the gate, like except Notre Dame. So I'm okay with Notre Dame, and then I'm okay with like UCLA for reasons. But like Fairleigh Dickerson, like come on, dog. No.
I just look. I get it. I do like it. And this is we've talked about this with the polls before, right? Where like what kind of poll voter are you? Like if a team loses, does the team ahead of them move up regardless? Or do you go the schedule argument and jump the other team? I want to. Like, dog, this is me going against my own interest.
I was kind of surprised.
Yeah. But if you were to stack, this is what I will say. If you were to stack UCLA and UConn playing each other tomorrow, who wins that game? I am not super convinced that's a UCLA win. I think UConn has the one player that UCLA doesn't. And because of that, I am putting UConn above UCLA. And don't be a hater.
Makes that much of a difference to you?
A hater. Dude, there is no one on UCLA's roster that can match Paige. There isn't right now. And
that's I agree. But like UCLA's best defender could still be Paige. I'm sorry. Like until she does it against the big dogs, I'm sorry, bro. I need to see it. I get it. On paper, yes, you take a Paige team over a non-Paige team. But in practice, when the lights are bright in LA and that Kendrick blaring through the speakers, like that's why they turned up.
Hey,
like,
I'm telling you,
I don't know what
it was on repeat the entire
dropped, and they knew what time it was.
Oh my god!
You can't let the city down when that's playing like that. Like I get it. We were just a victim of circumstances, man. Like it just had to happen. But like, I'm sorry, I'm not picking Paige right then, and I need to see it. I need more. I need a little more because even how many did she have in that UNC game? She had 29. Again,
it was a good game. Yeah, it was somewhere around
again, Lexi Donarski, bro, is like, I'm sorry, respect to Lexi, but okay.
I think it's so funny. Like London Jones heard the mustard and went 5 of 5 from 3. Like
you talk about someone who popped off. My God.
Man, he was cooking.
Who's your number one?
Well, here's the thing. I do want to make a case for Notre Dame here because you're talking about.
I thought you were about to say OU. Boy, you like piss me off.
I do because I think right now if I had a vote, I think I would have UCLA. At number one, purely because they were able to dominate without the biggest thing to me was they did it. Lauren Betts was not quiet. Like she had a good game, but Dawn Staley was even like in the post-game press conference was like, we feel like we did a good job. And the way that the others stepped up around Lauren and we didn't see them force it into Lauren was super impressive to me to see the others win. And that was a dominant team win. Like, because going into the game, it could have easily been South Carolina doesn't really have a defensive matchup that works really well against Lauren Betts. They don't have a Camilla to match up with her in that way with the size and skill of Betts. So it could have easily just been Lauren Betts comes in, drops 30, and UCLA wins. And that would have been like a convincing win for Lauren Betts, but maybe not as much for UCLA. And instead, we got the others winning for UCLA, and that's where like I can't shake him not being number one. But for Notre Dame, you mentioned, if UCLA and UConn match up and how Paige would do it. We saw UConn and Notre Dame match up last season. We saw what Hannah Hidalgo did. And we saw what Hannah Hidalgo did here at USC and Olivia Miles did. They had the Dragon Ball Z like morphing into each other, combining, and that duo was ridiculous. And this is still a team with several key pieces out, like a Maddie Westbell that is still on deck to come in. This was not a full-strength Notre Dame team. Sonia Citron, the defense was fantastic. It looked so well. And I think some of it had to do with the issues for USC in that game, and we're definitely going to get into that. But so much of that was forced from Hannah Hidalgo and what she was able to do. And, like, I saw people on Twitter and whatnot kind of being like, Hannah Hidalgo, for a lot of people, wasn't in the Juju Page tier. And I don't understand why, to be quite honest. Like that, I feel like she had already, to me, I think she was the third place in the top tier, but I felt like she was still in that tier. And if she wasn't before, she is now. And like, that was my first time getting to see Hannah play in person, and everything about her game, from what she was doing off the ball, the energy all across the board, was just so impressive to me. And so I think I would have UCLA number one, but anyone that has Notre Dame there, I'm totally cool with.
When we talk about Hannah Hidalgo, how many did she have in that UConn game? I'm curious.
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't.
30? I believe it was 30.
She's
30 or 32. You're not gonna look it up. Fine. You're not gonna let me hate, and that's fine.
I'm doing it right now. I just need you to vamp.
No, but like
34, 10, and 6.
Good Lord.
And that's what I'm supposed to. I'm just saying. But no, to your point, and this is kind of a tangent, but I think people wasn't really paying attention, because that's where I'm coming from with Juju. Hannah set the bar first, and I was like, all right, Juju, what you going to do?
And then she dropped 51. It was the 30. They went like Hannah had 30 on the same night. I think it was the same night as the Stanford game.
Day before. She had the day before, and we watched the Stanford game when Juju scored 59. Because right before then, I was just like, Juju, what you got, man? Like, she over here dropping 30. Like, you got to show me something. She did in a major way. And I know she didn't score 59, but every time I talk about it, I'm adding like a point or two, because
the legend of Juju.
The legend of Juju is going. But like, Hannah's always been like this. Both sides of the ball, just an absolute dog. And yeah, so I'm glad people are kind of like paying attention now, because like that's her. The Olivia Miles pairing. Oh my gosh.
Olivia Miles was fantastic.
Any question that there was about if that was gonna work has been answered. That shit works.
Yeah, really well.
And also, and look, you can't lose Sonia Citron in this discussion either, as an extremely effective 3, and still probably going to be a lottery player when all is said and done here.
Yeah.
But the question with Olivia Miles has been honestly pretty often whether or not I will have a glass of wine, please. Thank you.
The vino.
But Olivia Miles, the question has been with her for a really long time. Can she do this against top tier competition? There's been a lot of lines over the last couple of years that were like 11-7-5 or 13-5-3. Thank you. But the first game we've seen of her against elite guards this year, she goes out and does what she did in this game, which is it's 28-7 and 3 steals,
the 3-pointers,
3% shooting, and 50% from 3. That is the number 2 pick in the draft right there. The vision, the defense, like that was the one thing that I think people were fair to question whether or not she had that top end against top end players. And this is the first test she's had this year, and it works. Also for Notre Dame fans who I'm sure know, but if you're watching college basketball and you just got into women's hoops this year, Kate Koval, this Ukrainian freshman that is out of New York. I mean, she's the stopper. 6'5" freshman. She's going to be there until Maddie Westbell comes back, but that's the player to watch because if you get this type of performance out of Kate Koval in big games, you have addressed the size problem. Yes. You are complete, and you have everyone you need to make a legitimate tourney run. So I don't disagree with the Notre Dame take. I think the UCLA win is more impressive.
Yeah, agreed.
I think UConn has still the best player. I think that's much more debatable than it was at the beginning of the year. So all three are correct answers.